The first thing Jack Stone said after 3 days of torture was, "If this is your hospitality package, I'd hate to see economy class." His lips were split, his eyes bloodshot, his skin blistered where Dominion blades and plasma burns had left their mark. Yet he grinned like a drunk telling jokes at his own funeral. The Inquisitors froze, not because they understood, but because his voice was steady, mocking, wrong. Humans were supposed to beg by now, not banter. Chains crackled with violet current, pinning his wrist high above his head. The cell reeked of ozone and iron, every breath harsh in the recycled air. Six-eyed Dominion officers loomed in their ceremonial cloaks, their insectoid jaws clicking in irritation. They had pumped him with poison that should have shredded nerves into screaming threads. They had carved thin lines across his skin with blades older than Earth's first cities. And still Jack refused them. One interrogator tilted its head, mandibles twitching. "Explain this." "Florida man." Jack coughed blood onto the floor, spat red on the alien's gleaming boots, and whispered hoarsely, "Local legend. Stronger than poison, dumber than you. Try to understand, and you'll lose sleep." A ripple of unease traveled through the room. Their logs said humans broke fast, collapsing into confession within hours. Yet here was this one, laughing at the end of every lash, cracking jokes about microwave burritos when poison filled his veins, comparing their rituals to reality television reruns. If fear was a weapon, Jack had blunted it with sarcasm. They left him dangling in silence. Darkness swallowed the chamber, broken only by the faint pulse of Dominion machinery. Jack sagged, chest heaving, muttering to himself just to hear a human sound. "All right, Jack. Survive long enough to annoy them. That's the job description." And then the lights died. Not dim, died, gutted by something unseen. A sharp metallic rasp whispered through the dark. Then a wet gurgle. Another. A final choking cry. Shadows moved with terrible precision. By the time Jack blinked against the sudden void, the Inquisitors lay scattered on the floor, throats opened, limbs bent at angles no biology permitted. A figure emerged from the haze, tall, masked, armored in fragments that shimmered with static interference. Around him, technology faltered. Dominion steel warped, control panel sparked, chains fell away as if reality itself had misfired. The voice came cold, low, and utterly without sympathy. "You weren't meant to last this long." Jack collapsed, wrists raw, bloodied, knees striking the floor. He laughed, coughing as if laughter itself were rebellion. "Well, I'm stubborn, and I hate paperwork." The figure, later Jack would know him as the Phantom, said nothing more. He lifted Jack as if the man weighed nothing, dragging him into a stolen Dominion craft. Systems flickered, red warnings screamed across alien consoles, but the ship obeyed. It flew as if carried not by engines, but by silence. When Jack woke again, it was to Earth air, sharp and familiar. He lay in a sterile cot within Command's medical wing, surrounded by officials in pressed uniforms and polite disbelief. Dean Ward's voice was clipped, dismissive. "Hallucinations. Trauma can manifest as delusion." Catherine Doyle, clinical as ever, signed her agreement. No masked savior, no shadow-born rescuer, just a soldier, broken and delirious. Jack sat up, wincing, his voice raw but defiant. "If I hallucinated, then my hallucination bleeds Dominion officers better than your best strike team." His protest met only silence, then the quiet shuffle of boots leaving the room. His story was erased before it was written. That night, rain slicked the city's towers. Jack wandered streets that gleamed like steel rivers, haunted by flashes of blades and laughter swallowed by smoke. In an alleyway, he froze. Shadows shifted. He knew that aura instantly, like the hum of a storm about to break. The Phantom stepped into view. Same mask, same impossible presence that bent machines into silence. "They will never acknowledge me," the Phantom said. His voice was not angry, only cold, as if resignation had calcified into truth. "Earth prefers clean records. I do not exist." Jack clenched his fists, still scarred from chains. "Then why save me?" "Because you endured." The mask tilted, unreadable. You laugh when they broke you. You carried pain as if it were a joke. That makes you different. Jack wanted to argue, to demand answers, but the phantom vanished again, dissolving into shadow like a rumor. The weeks that followed beat war drums into Earth's nights. Dominion fleets massed along border stars, whispering of a human ghost that slaughtered guards and walked unseen through fortresses. Earth Command bristled with denials, but soldiers whispered when officers weren't near. Some said the Phantom was a weapon. Others said he was death itself, wearing flesh like clothing. Commanders Reed Cole and Nora Flint marshaled Earth's fleets, gathering squadrons into orbit. Yet in hidden bunkers where no record was kept, the Phantom trained soldiers differently. He stripped them of screens, sensors, even light. He made them fight blind, guided only by instinct and heartbeat. Jack was among the first. His squad mates, Ava Cross with her fierce resolve, Sarah Pike with her quiet cunning, Troy Vane, who always carried a photo of his dog, followed him into darkness. At first, they cursed, stumbled, swung wild. Jack steadied them with humor. So what's the lesson here? We're bats now. Great. Next you'll tell me duct tape isn't standard issue. A long silence. Then the faintest shift of the Phantom's mask. Almost a smile. Almost. But tension gnawed. Rumors spread beyond barracks. Whispers twisted into fear. Soldiers asked, if the Phantom was real, why hide him? What debt did Earth Command bury? The answer arrived like a knife. Lex Carter, one of their own, leaked the Phantom's existence to the Dominion. Betrayal struck harder than blades. When confronted, the Phantom's voice was calm, steady as stone. They always knew. Now they panic. Jack refused calm. Enough riddles. Who are you? The mask lifted. Beneath it was Michael Trent, a soldier long dead, reported lost in a battle years before. His eyes burned with unnatural clarity, his face both human and hollow, resurrected by a secret Earth experiment never spoken aloud. He was neither living nor dead, records scrubbed clean. Jack's breath caught. They erased you like you were nothing. Michael only whispered, nothing can be erased. It just becomes ghost. And from a horizon of stars, the Dominion advanced. So listen, reader, history may polish itself clean, sanding down ghosts until only silence remains. But silence is not truth. Truth survives in laughter whispered through bloodied teeth, in the stubbornness to endure when every chain begs you to yield. Remember this, what the powerful erase, the living carry in memory. And sometimes that is the sharpest weapon of all. Jack Stone's first words before the battle were, if I die today, at least I won't have to watch another reboot of Friends. The hangar laughed, some because it was funny, most because the alternative was screaming. Their armor was scratched, their eyes red-rimmed, their hands trembling as ships hummed with readiness. Beyond the steel walls, the Dominion's flagship loomed, a fortress so vast it swallowed constellations. Its core pulsed with power enough to ignite Earth's oceans in an instant. Jonathan Hale, Sophia Reyes, and Daniel Carter stood at the command dais, voices sharp as steel as they briefed final orders. Squadrons would engage the Dominion Armada, drawing fire, buying time. Chaos was guaranteed. Survival was not. In the shadows, the Phantom, Michael Trent, stood silent, his mask catching the glow of status lights, unreadable. He had no command title, no insignia, only purpose. Jack leaned close to Ava Cross, his squad mate, his voice low. We're about to fight gods with spit and duct tape. Comforting, isn't it? Ava adjusted her rifle with hands that did not tremble. Then we fight louder than gods. Sarah Pike checked their comms, eyes distant, always calculating. Troy Vane muttered to the photograph of his dog, taped inside his armor, whispering a promise to come back. They were soldiers, yes, but more than that. Ordinary humans standing before impossible odds. And that was always humanity's most dangerous weapon. The klaxon blared. Engines roared. The fleet surged into the void. The Dominion Armada descended like an iron tide, thousands of vessels unfolding from hyperspace, their formation precise, merciless. Alien war cries thundered through open channels, guttural and mocking. The sky itself seemed to split. Earth's response was chaos by design. Fighters darted like hornets. Frigates slammed into cruisers at suicidal angles. Explosions tore streaks of light across the darkness. Commanders shouted over the comms, voices steady despite the storm. Julia Sterling rallied one wing through plasma fire. Thomas Greaves led a desperate charge against a Dominion cruiser. Isabella Ward's squadron carved a bloody path through enemy fighters, losing half their number in the first assault. Jack's squad launched with the rest, weaving through wreckage and fire. He laughed into his calm, the sound reckless, a spark against despair. Look at this, 1 billion tons of alien death, and we're still making them chase us like pigeons in a park. Ava hissed, "Focus, Stone," but her smile was audible. Amid the chaos, Michael Trent infiltrated. He moved unseen, slipping past layers of defense as if shadows opened for him alone. Cameras failed in his presence. Alarms sputtered into silence. Steel doors warped under his touch. Where squads of Dominion guards waited, only silence and bodies remained. He advanced through the flagship's labyrinthine corridors, a phantom without hesitation. At the heart of the fortress, the core awaited. A chamber vast as a cathedral, filled with veins of pulsing energy. It throbbed like a heart, each beat strong enough to rattle teeth. Michael set the charges with steady hands, though his breath caught once, not from fear, but from memory. This place, this mission, was his ending written twice over. Jack's voice crackled over comms. "Phantom, you in?" Michael's reply was even, final. "The core will collapse." "Good. Now get the hell out." "No." His tone carried no hesitation. "I was never meant to leave. I was already dead." The squad fell silent, each pilot alone in their cockpit, fighting yet listening to a ghost pronounce his fate. Jack's voice broke through, furious and desperate. "Don't you dare do this. You're not a ghost. You're human. The most human of us." For the first time, Michael's voice softened, almost warm. "Then remember this. Tell them duct tape works." The charges ignited. Light consumed the chamber, a blinding flood that swallowed Michael whole. The explosion spread outward, shattering the flagship's spine. Its colossal body convulsed, ruptured, then tore itself apart in a chain of detonations so bright they outshone the stars. Across the battlefield, Dominion ships faltered. Their flagship's death rippled panic through the armada. Earth's battered fleet rallied, striking with renewed fury. Alien formations fractured, their roars dissolving into confusion and retreat. The void burned with wreckage and fleeing vessels. But victory had a price. Squadrons were gutted, ships shattered, names lost to static. Julia Sterling's wing was gone. Thomas Greaves's cruiser was torn in half. Isabella Ward survived, but her squadron was ash. Every cheer in command was laced with grief. In the aftermath, Earth Command claimed triumph. Dean Ward declared, "The Dominion flagship was destroyed by coordinated strategy and the bravery of our fleet." Catherine Doyle signed the record. No mention of Michael Trent. No whisper of the Phantom who had given everything twice over. Jack sat in the debriefing chamber, fists clenched, teeth grinding as words of polished propaganda echoed. He wanted to shout the truth, to carve Michael's name into every wall. Instead, he walked out in silence, the lie heavier than chains. Later, in the drifting graveyard of battle, Jack searched among twisted wreckage and floating steel. Silence reigned, broken only by the hum of failing circuits. And there, amid the ruins, he found a single object, a blank dog tag, scorched but intact. He closed his fist around it, eyes burning, voice low. Michael Trent was real. "I'll carry him." He pressed the tag to his chest, as if anchoring a ghost to his heartbeat. Humans are strange creatures, reader. We grieve with laughter. We fight with jokes. We honor the dead with duct tape and sarcasm. The Dominion feared weapons, but they never understood the sharper truth, that the most dangerous thing in the universe is a human who refuses to forget. Jack Stone's first words after the war were, If this is victory, I'd hate to see what losing looks like. The city below roared with parades and banners, fireworks exploding across the night, yet the sound in his ears was quieter than a graveyard. Earth had survived, yes, the Dominion retreated, their pride shattered, their fleets broken. But survival came wrapped in a lie. Command stood tall on polished podiums. Dean Ward's speeches filled every broadcast. Through discipline and strategy, Earth crushed the enemy's flagship. Our unity has triumphed. Catherine Doyle's signature ratified every line of that false scripture. The Phantom's name was absent, scrubbed from history as if he had never existed. Soldiers who whispered otherwise were reminded of duty, of order, of silence. Jack marched with his squad in the celebrations, armor polished for ceremony, faces painted with forced smiles. Ava Cross walked straight-backed, jaw tight, her eyes screaming the truth she could not say. Sarah Pike clutched a medal she despised, its shine mocking the dead. Troy Vane carried his dog's photo under the uniform, hidden like contraband. They all knew. They all swallowed the lie because Earth demanded it. In the barracks, laughter was hollow. New recruits crowded around veterans, begging for stories. "Tell us how you beat them," the young ones asked, voices bright with awe. Jack offered jokes instead of answers. "Well, first we ran out of ammo, then we ran out of luck, then we remembered duct tape exists." The Dominion never recovered. The room erupted in confused chuckles. Ava smiled faintly, but her gaze lingered on him, silently grateful for humor that softened despair. Still, the silence about Michael Trent gnawed at Jack. He dreamt of the mask, of static warping air, of the voice that had said, "Tell them duct tape works." He woke with fists clenched and sheets damp with sweat. One night, he could bear no longer. He left the city's lights behind, flying into the graveyard of wreckage where ships drifted broken and bodies frozen in eternal silence. The void was a cemetery without markers. Twisted hulls turned slowly in blackness, their edges sharp as bones. Jack searched with a quiet desperation until his hand closed around the blank dog tag he had found before. He pressed it to his chest again, whispering into the abyss, "You were real. You matter." The stars gave no answer, but he felt less alone. Time passed and Earth rebuilt. Whispers, however, could not be silenced. Soldiers in dim taverns spoke of a masked figure correcting their stance in training, though no record showed he was there. Dominion prisoners babbled about shadows that bent metal, voices they could not unhear. Civilians told stories of a ghost who laughed at torture and walked through walls. Earth denied all, but stories do not obey commands. They grow in the cracks silence leaves behind. Jack leaned into those cracks. He began training recruits himself, but not in the way manuals prescribed. He stripped them of tech, forced them into darkness, made them listen to heartbeat and instinct. When recruits stumbled, he laughed. "Congratulations, you just discovered gravity, humanity's oldest enemy." When they panicked, he reminded them, "If you can laugh while bleeding, you're already winning." Ava became a captain, her leadership sharp as a blade. Sarah turned strategist, shaping tactics with an intuition machines could not match. Troy remained their soul, still carrying that photo of his dog, still grinning in the face of despair. And Jack carried the memory of Michael Trent into every lesson. One evening, after drills, a recruit asked him, "Sergeant, what's the most important tool in war?" Jack smiled, slow and weary. "Duct tape. Holds ships together. Holds people together, too. Don't forget it." The recruits laughed, not understanding, but they repeated the phrase until it became ritual. In their mouths, it became prayer. Years slipped by like ash on the wind. Jack aged, scars deepening into his skin, his hair silvering at the edges. He never rose to high command, never sought podiums or medals. He lived in barracks, in training yards, in the quiet places where soldiers learned how to be human when the galaxy demanded they be more. The war became memory, then myth, then a story told to children at bedtime. The Phantom faded from official records entirely, his erasure complete. But among soldiers, his presence never left. In laughter, in silence, in duct tape passed hand to hand, Michael Trent endured. One day, Jack sat on a station overlooking a calm stretch of stars. A child approached, bright-eyed, tugging at his sleeve. "Mister, were you afraid?" Jack considered the question carefully. He remembered chains burning into his wrists, remembered laughing through blood, remembered a man who had already died teaching him what it meant to endure. He looked at the child, smiled faintly, and said, "Fear isn't the enemy. Forgetting is. Never forget the ones who stood, even when the world refuses to remember them." The child nodded, not fully understanding, but Jack felt lighter all the same. He leaned back, watching stars pulse in the dark, each one a reminder that ghosts cannot truly vanish. And so I speak to you, reader. History will try to polish itself into perfection, sanding away the rough edges, the inconvenient truths, the men who never fit into neat lines. But memory is sharper than history. It lives in the jokes we repeat, in the rituals no one else understands, in the laughter we refuse to surrender. The Dominion feared weapons, but they should have feared something far more dangerous. The unkillable humor of humans, and the ghosts we keep alive simply by refusing to let them die.